Okay, I have my 2007 Ford Edge here. We're going to be replacing the power steering pump on this, and I have another video where I already replaced the rack and pinion. I'll leave a link if you want to check that out. As it turned out, the pump had went bad because of the excessive low levels of fluid, so the pump and this burned up as well. So we're going to be having to replace this pump here. Now, just to let you know, it's not an easy task to get to this pump, so there's going to be a lot of removing parts, and it's a big process to get to it. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And said you can do this. It's just, it's not really difficult, but there is a lot of work involved, but you're going to save yourself a lot of money in the process of doing this. So we're going to go ahead and probably just get started under the hood here, removing some things, and then we'll work on to lifting the engine, doing some other stuff here. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we've done, we just got the hood up here and went ahead and removed the negative battery cable. Okay, so we're going to get started over here removing the reservoir and some of this stuff out of the way. The first thing we're going to do is pop this up and off of here. It's just got some clips that snap down in there. You can just give this a tug. It should come off of there. So it just snaps right into that. We're going to go ahead and just disconnect this right here. Push down on that really firm. And this here, you really need a kind of a flat screwdriver, but what you have to do is push down right here really hard to release this so you can pull this part back. And I'm gonna have to get my other hand here. Okay, and after you push down with that tab right there, you'll be able to just pull this right back and that'll disconnect. So we're gonna need, so we got this here, this and this disconnected. Just push this back over here. And we got some other stuff too, but that's gonna get that out of the way momentarily. Now what we want to do is we're going to take a 8mm and we're just going to come right up here, and first we're going to remove this one right here. Just take that first 8mm that's attaching that to the windshield washer bottle there, and then I'm going to take another one. You can use an extension or whatever to get these loose. We got two up here on the side of this body, and then we've got one more right over here that we're going to need to get loose as well. Okay, so now I'm just going ahead, finish taking these out completely. And it's always a good idea after you take whatever you're taking out to put the bolts back in where they go. Okay, so at this point, this will lift up. It's got like a little clip there that goes into the side of that frame, this here, as you can see. So just lift that up and off there. And now what you should be able to do is wiggle this bottle over here. And just be careful and watch out for any wires and stuff so you're not breaking anything, but you've got enough room that you can wiggle this over here. It's just a little bit more difficult to do this one-handed, so I'm probably not going to get it. Give me 1 second here. Okay, let me see if I can get this now. So I've done this before. There's enough room. You know, be careful with your line there, obviously, but with the wires out of the way, you should have plenty of room. And still. Okay, so there we go. And that will go plumb over there out of the way. As you can see, we got it over out of the way. Okay, so put your little bolts back where they go so you're not losing or forgetting where those go. Now we're going to come over here. We're going to work on getting these wires out of the way. Just push down right there with your thumb. Pull that off. Okay, now we got these connectors going to this module. You're going to need to push down with a flat screwdriver while you're pulling back with the other hand. Already got that pushed down. So we pull that back, come right straight off. We're going to do the same thing to these others here. Okay, so these are loose. We can just pull all these off. Now we got this freed up here. Now we're going to come down here. We've got some various wires and grounds. Right here you have a couple of wires on this ground. Now the problem here, you really kind of need an impact because this nut likes to jam on here. I've already broke this previously trying to get that loose. So for whatever reason they use these studded bolts. So you have to get this 10mm loose here, which I've already got it broke loose, and then that will remove these off of here. But this 10mm that goes on here jams. I guess when we put it together in the factory, it jams on there, and it's really difficult to get loose unless you've got a good thin 10mm to hold this, because it really sticks on there and it pretty much takes an impact. So we've got those loose. This one really could probably stay here, but we mainly need this one loose. So we're going to go ahead and put this nut back on here so we're not losing that. Okay, now we've got another cable that runs up and over here, and it's the same thing. It has one of these studded bolts with the nut, and it's the same way. It jams on there. It's very difficult to get that off there without using an impact. So you'll want to get that loose, and it probably wouldn't be a bad idea just to put a regular normal bolt back in these, which I might do. But anyways, that is loose and it connects down there. So you could disconnect it there if you have difficulty with this up here. You could just take the 8mm loose there and then just stick this back over here out of the way. Just whichever that you prefer. So we got that wire out of the way. We're going to go ahead and put that 10mm back on there so that doesn't get lost. And then we're going to look up here. We've got a ground and the other part of this one that's running up here. We want to just go ahead and take this 10 right here loose, and I've already got it broke loose. We're just going to spin that off, and that's going to free up this wire right here. And again, put the nut back where it goes. Okay, so go ahead and take and remove both of these. That way that's out of the way. We're just going to set it back over here. And then we got that ground there loose. So see, we've had a ground here connected here, and we got a ground up there. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put this back. It's just too easy to get stuff mixed up, so it's just as easy to put it back. Okay, and now what we got is we got a couple of 10 millimeters on the top of this power steering reservoir. We'll want to go ahead and take both of those. And you'll notice that the wire harness runs in behind and underneath this right here. Hence the reason we need to pull this up. I'm getting the one in the back. And then so we can pull this up. Now don't lose the little metal dowels. They may try to fall out of there. These little things may try to slip out, so don't lose those. Okay, so now we've got the reservoir loose. There's going to be a couple of things here. We've got another ground right back here. It's a 8 millimeter. And then we got a little clip going in this little bracket here. Now you might just be able to pull that out, but you'll need to pry it, pull it out, whatever. It's just a little clip right there. But once that's out, you'll get back here with a little 8 millimeter wrench, whatever you can fit in there, and you're going to take out that 8 millimeter bolt. It's basically just right underneath this little Freon line, but you won't be able to move this harness without removing that, so you need to get back there. I'm going to go ahead and take that out at this point. Okay, again, and the nuts and the bolt that goes down there is placed back where it goes. Okay, now we can go ahead. We got this loose. We can pull this harness. Now there's some studded clips here, but you can just easily pull those up and off there. And then we can just take and pull this back over here, completely out of the way. So nothing hard about this whatsoever. We're just moving some things around and clearing up some room here. Makes it much easier to get to the mount and get to the things that we need to get to here. Okay, so you can see we got plenty of room now. We can get to this mount right here. We've got all that stuff out of the way. So I think what we're gonna do, before we're gonna remove this mount, I need to get over here and get this wheel off on this side. So what we're gonna do is we're going to go ahead and lift the vehicle up and get it on a jack stand to where we need the level of the vehicle to be. That's the first thing we're going to do. And once we do that, we'll get under the engine and support it and get a support under the engine before we go to trying to remove this. So we're going to go ahead and we'll just get started over here. I'm going to get my jack and jack stand. And we're going to go ahead and get the wheel off and get under the vehicle. Okay, so we got it lifted up. I like to just get a hold of this part of the frame right here, and I've just stuck that jack stand right there. But you know, you want to get it up high enough where you can get under here without having to struggle to move around. So give yourself enough room to get under there. Now 2-ton, 6-ton jack stand, whatever, just be safe and make sure you got it blocked or jack stands or something. So I'm going to go ahead and get my 3/4. It works the best. I've already previously broken these lugs loose before I lifted it up. Make sure to do that because they're going to be really tight. But I'm going to go ahead and just finish taking these 3/4 lugs off and get the wheel off here. Okay, so the jack is out of the way. We've got our jack stand there. We're going to go ahead and work on removing this inner fender flap. Some of these are missing, but you got these little push pins, plastic push pins. You can easily get like a flat screwdriver and pop these up. or they actually have like a tool that is made for this. It's rounded with a little notch. But anyways, you got to pop that up. Over here we've got a couple of Phillips that are going into this, and then this piece will essentially pull right off there, so you can get that out of the way. So we'll go ahead and set. I'm going to get a flat, and we're just going to pop those up and off of there. And there's going to be several of them. Like I said, some of these are missing, but there's going to be several that are going all around this thing. And there'll probably even be some, if they're not broken, that are going to here, or possibly a Phillips screw. So there may be a couple of those right down here if that's broke loose. So I'm going to remove these push pins, and we're going to work on getting this inner flap out of the way here. Okay, as you can see, that's all those are. It's just a push pin. You pop that up, and then you're able to pull this base out of there. Okay, with those push pins out, you'll be able to just wiggle this whole thing. It'll just fall down. Kind of push it and wiggle it down. So we can go ahead and just set that aside. And now we can see the belt back in here, and you can see this part of this this power steering right here. And if you look right here, you can see one of the first 10mm bolts right here, and you can probably get this here with a little ratchet wrench or something fairly easy. We could go ahead, we may go ahead and just take the belt off. I've done it either way, but we may go ahead and just take the belt off next. Okay, I've got an 18mm socket on here, and I've got just a long orange handle pry bar. Essentially what I'm doing, if you can see, is I'm prying on this belt a little bit. I'm pulling it kind of towards me as I'm rotating this. Like I said, if the belt is bad, you can go ahead and cut it. You know, a lot of times they'll tell you just to cut them, but if the belt is not bad, then there's no sense in doing that. So this is a pretty easy way. Once you get it going, it'll pop off of here. I'm not exactly on it just right here. Okay, essentially I had too long of an extension. I was trying to set up where I could show you better, but you need a short extension. You just get under here, pull that belt. You can see I've almost got it worked off. You just pull it towards you. Well, there's pry in this direction as you're turning it, and it's just about ready to come right off right there. You can see I've got it started. Once you get it started, it's just going to pop right off of that pulley there. Okay, so there we have it, and we didn't have to cut the belt or anything. And another good thing is we don't have to remove this belt, which requires, you know, getting on the tensioner up there. So we can just leave it like this, perfectly fine. Just pull it out of the way, whatever, so you're not getting any fluid on it. But the belt is in still pretty good shape, so there's no need in cutting it. So we got that off of there. And later on, we get this back together, I'll show you how we're going to put it back on. And it's not that difficult at all. Okay, and with getting these bolts, it's going to be rather difficult to show you what I'm doing. You can see the first bolt right there. That's a 10mm. It's right at the bottom of this this pump here. Now, there's also one that you can't see that's just slightly behind it there. And it's kind of back behind it, but it's on the same plane as that one. And what we're going to do is we're going to get up here with my Now these may be really tight, so if you cannot get them loose with a little wrench, your other option is getting back underneath the vehicle with an extension and getting a swivel with a long extension. And you have to come from in here, and I've had to do this before, but you can see that pump up there. But you have to lay under here, get a long extension, get it on there and break it loose that way. And you have to kind of get up under there with your arm coming in through here and come up through there and feel to get your socket on. It's a little bit more difficult coming under that way. So if you can get them from here by some means, then you're going to be much better off. So you can kind of see the back one right there at that angle. You can see that other one right there. See, if I zoom up, you can see the front one and the back one there. But that's what I'm going to work on. I'm going to get these bottom ones first, and then we're going to move on. So I'm going to go ahead and get my 10mm. We're going to start taking these right here out. Okay, and see, there's a really tight at first, so it takes some doing to get it loose, but you can get it. And said once you get it loose, it comes off there with your fingers, and you can just reach in and start finishing taking it the rest of the way out. But at first, it's pretty snug. And as you can see, this here is coming really easy now. And these aren't very big bolts. They shouldn't be as tight as they are, probably no more than 20 to 25 foot-pounds, but they like to get carried away in the factory. And so I'm just, it's really slippery right here. It's probably been leaking. So I'm trying to work it out here and show you that you can get in here and do this, but it's just not real easy. So it's coming out, as you can see there, and I just got to I'm going to keep working it by hand here. Okay, so there is the first one there on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and reach around with my ratchet and start loosening up that one that's harder to see there in the back. Hey, like I said, the good news is that these come out very easy with your fingers. Okay, but yeah, very easy once they're broken loose. You can also reach back with a socket on your hand, just turn that once it's loose. But there is the two of the bottom 10mm loose. Before we work on the top up there, we're going to go ahead and get us a drip pan and work on this this line that's attached to the back here. We're just going to reach around and try to get to this. We may come from the top. Okay, we got us a drip pan. We're back up here at the top of the vehicle here, and we've got a little bit of an extension on a 17mm going down to the top of that there. You can see, and it just fell off there. But anyways, we're getting ready to go ahead and start taking that loose. Let me get my ratchet back on there. Okay, as you can see, it was pretty snug. We're getting it loose. This is the high pressure line here. We're going to go ahead and just finish taking that out, and just don't lose any of your pieces and stuff. Okay, there's that that bolt, and it has two copper washers. They sandwich the high pressure line is sandwiched in between these two, so you don't want to lose either one of those. And that one will kind of fall off there if you don't reach down and get it. So we got that loose there. As you can see, the line is moved back and off there, so we've got that. So Now that we've got that, we're going to go ahead and work on these upper bolts here. And what I've done before to have more room to reach around my arm was taking this mount out of the way, but then I had to support the engine. So I'm going to attempt to reach back here, which I have to reach my arm back around here, but there's 2 bolts on the top. Let me see if I can show you. You can feel them, but they're very difficult to see, and I'm trying to find it, even find them with my hand. Okay, we got a wire right here. Push on that connector, squeeze it, go ahead and pull that off. Put your green wire there. Okay, so I'm going to try to attempt to show you the bolts. Okay, you can see where my finger right there is one of them. And we're going to be reaching down there with a 10 millimeter and a ratchet. We're going to reach down in behind and take these loose. We've got one here, and one of them's shorter. I think this is the long one, I believe, and then the one over on this other side is our short here. Okay, so right there, if you can see that one. Okay, so we've got, I believe that's it. But anyway, these things are difficult. You can feel for them, but they're very difficult to even show you here. So I'm going to be working on, all we got's those top 2. I'm going to reach around with my ratchet here, 10 millimeter of some sort. You can use an extension, swivel, whatever you need to get in there. But once they're loose, they usually just come right out with your hands. So we're going to go ahead and take those top bolts out. Now it won't fall because we've got this big fill hose going into it here. So we're going to utilize that, but that's all we have, and then this thing's going to be loose. So I'm going to go ahead and get back there with a ratchet. So it's difficult to show you, but I'm going to be reaching around through here and getting to it. And I'm also, because I got this lifted up a little bit, I'm standing on something here, so you may need something to get you a step or something so you can get back in here a little bit easier, because you really have to reach down in behind here. Okay, I got the rear bolts, the shorter of the 2 on the top here, or what would be, it'd be the bolt on my right here. I was just using this right here, reaching down in there. I'm fixing to get the one towards the front there, and that's the last one holding it. And so once I get them loose, I just get in there and just remove it by hand, or use just the socket to remove it. Okay, there's the bolt on the front, or what would be on the left there of the pump. So we've got it freed up now. And I got down there with a swivel too. It was making it a little easier to get it the rest of the way out once it was loose. So we're going to go ahead and start trying to get this out of here now. Okay, as you can see, you know, just utilizing the hose to kind of help pull it up here. I'm working it up. I'm just pulling it up in this area here, and we're just going to work it around and just try to wiggle it out here the best way that we can. But it's not very big, so we got it past the AC line down there, so we're just kind of working it up this way. I mean, we still got the AC line rather, but we got plenty of room. It's just a matter of twisting around here. I'm just trying to get it here with one hand, but you can see I've almost got it out of here. We've got plenty of room. Okay, here we are coming right on through here. Still got this hose attached and everything. Probably the worst part of it is with that one line. There's kind of a lot of slippery fluid on it there. But we have got the pump pulled all the way up and out of here. We'll try to just, we get the other pump over here. We'll try to just keep this hose up so we're not just dumping. We probably lost some fluid just to kind of keep any more from draining out than we have to. We'll try to just keep this elevated. And we're going to slip this hose back onto the other one in the same manner and just poke it right back down in there. See, it's not a very big pump. And do yourself a favor and get a pump with the pulley already on it. It's enough work getting this out of here. You do not want to be fighting and getting a pulley puller and messing with all that. It's just as easy. It's not much more. Just go ahead and get one with the pulley already on there. You can see more about this thing once you got it up here. Of course, this is where our high pressure line is coming in. This is where that one connector is sliding onto. And then you can see where the bolt holes are here and how we were working on this thing. So it was setting in there. Let's see. Actually, okay. So it's setting like this. And it looks like we just had the one bolt up here, so I'm trying to figure out what I took a bolt out of now, because I was thinking that other bolt, thinking that it had 4 bolts. That's what gave me pause for a second. Okay, so these are the bottom two, the 2 long bolts, and there's just the long one on the top, and there's not a bolt over here. There's just the 1 bolt on the top, which is not very difficult to get to, with the exception of just this being in the way. That's why the swivel was kind of working out a little bit better. Okay, so whatever I took that short bolt out of, I need to get in there and put that back in, because I was swearing up and down this thing had 4 bolts. But I was incorrect. There's only, looks like the 3 bolts holding this thing. So anyways, we got it out of there. Just a matter of getting the other one back on, and we'll just get it back in the same way. So this time I didn't take the mount out, so this is actually going a lot easier, and I still had plenty of room to reach around there and get back there to that. Okay, so this has a mark on this hose here as well to show you where to place this so you don't get it twisted the wrong way. Now it's stuck on there pretty good. I'm using 3 flat screwdrivers to break this loose. It's really glued on there. Okay, so here we are getting ready to go ahead and reattach this. Got our replacement pump. Now this replacement has like 44,000 on it, and it should be a good pump. And this is opened up. It's going to get it back down here onto the hose, and it's just really tight right here. It's got the lock on there. What's not pleasant is these coming back and snapping on your fingers. That does not feel good. So I'm just going to trigger that, and we'll go ahead and clamp that down. We're going to get it back down into place. Okay, so we're just going to work it back down into place. Said We got the hose attached. The reservoir was not unhooked. Most of the fluid drained out into the pan when we took the high pressure hose, but said the good thing about this hose, it's kind of facilitates getting it down in there without it just having it fall on you. Just be mindful of your little wire clip there that you don't damage that. But we're going to just feed it right back down through here carefully. Get it past all of our wires and pipes and stuff. And we'll get that. What we're going to do is go down and get the bottom bolt started. I'll say there's some locating pins on there, or dowels, that help to get that into alignment. There's like a couple of those, so when you get it on there, you'll know it. It won't go into place unless you have those locating dowels. Alright, so as you can see, we've about got it back down in here, and we know that it's going to go because we got it out. So there, once you get past that, it goes real easily. So we're going to go ahead down from underneath and get those bottom, the bottom two. Oh, the short bolt I incorrectly took out was on this little lift point here, this lift bracket. I took one of those out. It wasn't a big deal. It just was extra work. I was thinking there was indeed 4 holding it, but I was incorrect. So we're going to start from underneath here and get these two started back into place. Just kind of lift it back up on those dowels. And so coming through this fender well, it's real easy to reach right up through here and just pull this down and get it right back into place again. So we're just going to kind of wiggle it up onto our locators there, and then we'll go ahead, once we've got it, we know that we got it setting right, we'll go ahead and get one of those bolts started. Okay, we're just starting that first one by hand right there, and then I'll reach around. I'm just reaching around and doing them by hand, and then I'll go around to the back, and then I'm just going to get my little ratchet or ratchet wrench or whatever and snug these up here. And matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and put some medium Loctite on these as well. Okay, at this point I'm just using this little 10mm ratchet wrench to get these in here. Not a lot of room, but as you can see, you can get in here and get them. Okay, because of the difficulty of getting in here with anything and even beginning to think about tightening these bolts in any shape or form, we're going to get back here and use the extension. I was able to get them loose, but I simply cannot get in here. There's just not enough room, as you can see, to literally do anything with this. So we're going to get back here with an extension now that we at least got them snugged all the way down by hand. We're going to use an extension with a little bit of a swivel, and we're going to get underneath here, and I'll show you how we're going to go ahead and tighten these up a little better. Okay, so getting these lower ones, I come under here and come through the back, and you have to lay under the vehicle and possibly get some nice power steering fluid dripping on your head. So I got a little swivel, and I just come back through here. I had to lay up there and hold it on with my hand and snug it up. I just couldn't get enough leverage to get in through the side there, but if you can figure out a way to get enough leverage there, then by all means tighten it from right here. But I couldn't devise a very good setup. I guess I could have probably came from back here with a swivel, maybe, but I took them out before underneath, so it wasn't a big deal. So you just got to get a long extension with a swivel, and you can snug those down. I'm going to go ahead, get some Loctite on this top one up here now, and we're going to reach down back in there and get that top one. And I did have to use a little bit of a swivel on that as well, because it was kind of with that one little spout, the where the high pressure line goes was kind of in the way a little bit. And for that top bolt there, you just find the high pressure, where the high pressure line goes in, and you come back towards you a little bit, and there will be where you place the bolt right there, as you can see. And once we get this tightened down, we're going to go ahead and get our high pressure line on. Okay, just got that top one using this swivel. Tighten that up, used a little Loctite on it. So we're going to go ahead and slap our high pressure line on there. Remember the washer, you got the washer, and then you got this other washer that goes on the bottom of the line, so it's basically in between both copper washers, the line is. So we're going to go ahead and get this on here. Okay, and the trickiest part is not dropping your little copper washer as you're putting it on the bottom of that line and carefully slipping the bolt into the threads there and getting it started. So we're going to get our 17 millimeter with a little bit of extension, go ahead and snug that. Remember, our fill is already attached, so we just got to snug this down, and then we'll get our little wire clip back on there, and we'll have this here done. Okay, so that's tightened down with our 17. We're going to go ahead and get this little wire clip. I'm just going to push that back down onto there. And I cannot tell where I'm at here. Just kind of, there we go. And it was kind of attached, I think mainly, so it's up here out of the way. I just kind of stuck it back behind that. But it was attached like to here. These things are deteriorating. So we've got that. The only thing we got left here is putting the belt on, and of course getting this up here, which this up here is no problem. I think we're going to go ahead and get the belt back on here. I'll show you how we're going to go ahead and do that. Okay, so we're going to take our belt and slip it back onto the back of our crank here first of all, back kind of where it was, and make sure that it's not tangled up or anything. Okay, now you'll notice that that pulley there has those holes. Got me a couple of zip ties, and we're going to go around the belt and through that hole there, 2 zip ties. Around the belt, through the hole, and we're going to kind of zip tie it right about there. And then we're going to have to kind of get it started by hand. We'll reach up and kind of get it started as we're turning this. Kind of got to get it started, and then the zip ties will help hold it and keep it from essentially popping back off again. Okay, so I've got my belt on. I felt and made sure it's on to the crank here properly. You can see that I've got a couple of zip ties. As you can see, this one here needs to cinch on down, but they're going to hold it as I start this. Now let's cinch that one on down. Okay, and I'm going to get my 18 back on here while I'm doing this, while I'm rotating this around. And I'm going to get this started a little bit by hand to make sure that it's starting nice and tight, otherwise it'll just slip. And I'm going to kind of hold a little tension with this hand right here, getting it started, as I'm rotating this with the other hand. Okay, and as you can see, it's going back on. if you can see it there at all. But it's just almost up to the going on there, and we're just going to back it off, and we'll cut our zip ties back off there. Okay, I've just assured that we've got it on, and I'm going to go ahead and cut my zip ties completely off there, and then we'll rotate it around a few more times, make sure everything's okay. Okay, I just rotated it around a few times and just made sure it's all good. I used these to clip the zip tie off of there, so just be careful and don't clip your belt. Make sure you got both of your zip ties out of the way. So we're going to go back up top. We're just going to leave all this off for now till we get this tested out. Okay, and we don't have a lot up here. We're just going to get started moving our wire harness back over here. It's not really a big deal. We just had it moved out of the way. And the only thing to make sure of is that we get all of our grounds and stuff back into place. Like, remember, we've got the one that is hidden right down there. That's where that goes, so we'll want to get that. Now, another thing, see, I'm almost messing up here. You want this to feed underneath of this right here, because this goes in under and behind this. So this wire harness actually has to go underneath, back underneath your overflow bottle there. So I need to get it routed back under there. Okay, so here we are. It goes underneath that, like I said. You'd always take the line loose if you got it routed wrong. Just make sure it goes on top of it, because that has to go into there. This goes over the top of it. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is get on this one down here and go ahead and reconnect that to that, I think it's an 8mm down there. Okay, and a little micro ratchet works good for a lot of this stuff. So then we're going to go ahead, get these here reconnected. Just give them a push and clip that. It really makes a big difference having these out of the way. So every little thing push that on there. So this one here, we'll wait till we get our coolant bottle back over. Okay, so we've got this one. Okay, let's get this routed. Okay, this one's going to go right back here on to this little 10mm here. So that one's going to go back there. And we'll snug that down. Let's see. Okay, then we need to get this and this back up here on to this stud right here. Okay, I'm just snugging this up here with my little ratchet and a 10mm, a deep. We'll go ahead and snug that one right there up. Okay, so we got that snug back down. Alright, so we're going to go ahead. I'm going to wiggle this bottle back over here. Now that we've got this back down, we go ahead and put our overflow, or our, not our overflow, but our reservoir for our power steering fluid. And go ahead and slip that back on to these studs here. Get our 10mm tightened back down for this. Okay, I've slid my overflow back in. I'm just going to take these 8mm that I put back where they go and get them started back into the tank and stuff here. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and snug all these up, and those two. Okay, now we just got to get this part of the harness reconnected. Just going to push that together, snap that back, and we'll reattach that till it clips. And this just has the little locators. Snap that back down. And I messed around, I forgot a ground, so don't do that. It's not a big deal. It's right here easy where I can get to. I knew there was another one somewhere and it'd run off on me there, so I need to take that and put that back right here. Okay, so that should be everything we've got up here. I'm going to go ahead and get some fluid back in here. I don't have quite a quart, but I'm going to see how much it takes to fill this up. Okay, all I have is about 12 fluid ounces. I'm going to see. I think that it's not going to take a lot. I really don't think we lost that much, but we'll see. Okay, now that little bottle got me filled up to about there. You see the air kind of, but we're going to crank it up and go ahead and start working the air out. I suspect that it may take a little bit more. Okay, now be mindful. It says this one has a remote start, and it says it may attempt to start when the battery's reconnected, so you can press the brake to disengage. So we'll have someone do that as we're reconnecting this negative. Okay, and it did not try to start, but I guess that's something that they can do. So I'm going to go ahead and snug this negative cable up. Okay, so turning the wheel, working it out. Looks like I may need a little bit more. It is kind of shot on down there about halfway. So I need to get a little bit more fluid in here, but as long as it doesn't go down below the reservoir here, but we don't want to be sucking in air because it's got a, Okay, so I'm going to have to get a little bit more power steering fluid before I can work any more air out, because it did go down. I probably needed more like a quart. You can see that hose going in. This is the one that's draining, the big one going down to the pump. You got the little one that's coming in. That's the return that runs down here to your power steering cooler. It circulates. You can see it with this thing off. You can see how it runs. So you got the lines going down to the rack, and then it returns back through here, cools it off through your cooler, comes back up to your tank. So if you have any leaks down here, this is on more of the low pressure side. Most of the time, if your line's leaking, it's going to be on the high pressure. So I'm going to get some more fluid, and while I'm at it, I think I'm going to go ahead and work on getting this wheel back on, and I'll worry about doing this here later after I make sure I don't have any problems with it, because I can always pull that tire back. I want to get it on the ground and get the air out and really kind of test this out a little bit, hopefully before it gets dark. Okay, right now I'm still just turning the wheel. I got some more power steering fluid here. Just got it filled up. We're just working the wheel back and forth and working some of this air out here, which there's not a whole lot in it, but that's all you got to do. And getting ready to just take it for a test drive. Okay, so I drove it around and it's turning real nice and easy now. It's working just fine. I'm just going to keep an eye on the leaks. It about got dark on me, but by the time I got this pump today, I only had like an hour of daylight left. So, but anyways, we got this back on and it's working fine. We got it topped off with power steering fluid. So the only thing I've got left is putting my inner fender well on. Like I said, I'm just gonna, on the daylight, I'll check and make sure I don't have any leaks of any kind, everything, but everything's looking good so far. So that's gonna do it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and as always, I invite you to subscribe, and thanks for watching.